Welcome to Off Grid with Dave and Sonya. I'm Dave. We just finished the install of the solar panels on top of our trailer. We've been out in the woods for about 2 weeks. We've been testing the system out. And in this small series, I want to share with you how I had mounted everything to the top of the trailer. In part 5, I'll show you what the full finished setup looks like. So follow along. So now that the solar panels are installed and they're wired in and working, let me show you how I mounted them and then how I wired them. So this is on top of the slide out over top of the deck down below. But I want to show you how I bolted these together on top of the 80/20 extrusion. So this is a Z bracket. I got it off Amazon. I'll have the link in the description below. But this single bolt bolts to the bottom of the panel. There's holes in these panels already. So there's one bracket here and one bracket on the other side of this panel. And then same thing on all the other panels. So I bolted that to the bottom of the panel. I can show you that in a second. But up on top here, I got two bolt holes that I got to bolt into the 80/20. So 80/20 sells these little brackets. They got different versions of them. These are the cheapest, most effective units. They're steel. They got a black coating on them. But that just slides into the groove. You push it underneath your hole. These are stainless steel bolts that I bought. Put it in the hole, and then you tighten up. It screws into the nut that's underneath. If you want two of them, which they don't line up to use both the holes on this one, but they do in the double slots or the triple slots that we have here. So you could put this bracket inside the slot, line up two grooves with it, put in two bolts. This one has a little detent on it, so when you stick it in place, it'll help hold it where you want it. So if you were putting in an upright post, you don't want it to slide anywhere, you put it right where you want it and it would stay. So let me show you underneath. So underneath you can see there's one bolt here on one panel. And then again, I use stainless steel. These are in slots. So on this panel, you can see this slot here. There's two of them. There's one here and then there's one over here. These slots go this way. In the Z bracket, the slots go this way. So it's really easy to make sure they line up. But what I did, because I don't like things coming loose, I use elastic stop nut. So it's a nut with plastic inside of it. So I don't have to use a lock nut or a lock ring. I use these lock nuts, elastic stop they call them. So I screw that on and then it just won't come loose. But both of those are stainless steel. The nuts from 80/20 that are on the top are not stainless, so everything else is aluminum or stainless. I have washers on there too. Anytime you have a slotted hole, you should have a washer. So I have a washer on there. So on the top, I only got one 80/20. So this bracket, the flange goes over this section. This bracket, the flange had to go over this section. So on this side of the panels, I had to drill my own hole. So these are the two that come factory installed. This is the hole I drilled so I didn't interfere with the other brackets from the other panels. So every panel I had to drill two more holes here. But then I also drilled one hole here, one hole on the other end on all the panels so I could bolt the panels together. The problem was that wall is double thickness. So there's an air gap between them. So when I ran the bolt through, I need a longer bolt for one, but two, you can't tighten it very tight because it would just bend the aluminum. So that's another good point of using these elastic stop style nuts. I just get them snug and leave it and they won't come loose. So I'll show you the wiring. So again, we had 4 panels in series, so it's 3, 4. those 4 panels all in series. And then this series goes to my electrical box that I have up near the front of the trailer. So then these 4 panels are in series. And then one of each of those wires, positive and negative, go up to the box. So they're in parallel inside the electrical box up front, but back here they're in series. So let me show you what I got, how I connected them in series. So you can see here's a plus. So I just used the existing holes and I zip tied them in. But the wire comes around, and in here, the negative comes over, and then I join the 2 here, and I use these holes to put zip ties in, and then the negative comes around and does a nice loop. The positive comes back out, goes to the next negative one. So again, zip ties. I did the same repeating pattern. And then this side has the minus, and then I follow along the minus cable all along the panels. Same with the positive on the other side. And it joins with the minus cable from this series of panels. So then I have two wires that run up to the front of the trailer. 2 minuses on this side. And this side I got the 2 plus cables. And then I have them kind of meeting here in the middle, because when this has to slide in, that bunch of cable has to slide on top of the roof. So they're zip tied together on the roof, and there's just space up there to allow them to slide. So they slide freely without kinking. So these are the wires that I used on the solar panels. So I got a minus, and the red is positive. And these 2 ends are duplicated on both sides of the wires, so you'll get the mate to this on the black. It would plug into this, and then here are the mates. So you can see I just push them in, the O-ring would seal, you snap it in place, it seals. But this wire comes, you can pre-cut it to the length you want, then you attach everything. So this is the end of this cap. You put that on first, the little rubber seal with little teeth to bite a hold of the cables. You slide that on, teeth first, strip your wire, and then we would crimp on the correct pin. You gotta make sure you get the right pin in there. This is the portion of the crimping tool you would use. So make sure this little nipple on the tool is pushing in the back side of the crimp connector, crimp pin. And each one of these legs on this connector would slide and roll over itself into the center section. So these are my electrical boxes that all the panels go into. So in the box that I have open, you can see on the back I have 3. So 1, 2, 3. They're in pairs, so the red one's on the bottom, the black one's on the top. So I have 3 sets going into this box, which will take 4 sets. So basically I have 4 on each one of these sets. That's 12 total panels. And then they come into this box. Here they're all parallel together. So these would be the minus leads, these are the positive leads. Each lead individually, the red wires back here underneath, comes in through these red ones underneath here. They each go through a fuse. So each go through a 12 amp fuse. Then they're parallel to here. Then they come out of here. They go into this breaker, which shuts off both the positive and the negative. So if I have to disconnect the battery, I would flip this off first, so I'm not sending power to my charge controller without having an output for it. So if something was to go wrong, the breaker would blow. The breaker is I thought I saw it said 63 amps somewhere on there. 63. It's upside down. But it's a 63 amp breaker. And then I have those going to, these are the outputs which are going to the MPT controllers. And then this is also another advantage. I don't have it hooked up yet. It's a lightning arrestor. So it's also coming off of both leads. And then what you would do is on the other side, you would tie it to ground. Because I'm on a trailer, there really isn't ground. I can run a green wire from here to the frame of the trailer. Whether that helps or not, I'm not sure. I guess ideally if I'm parked and I'm in a lightning storm, I probably would throw a grounding rod from the trailer into the ground, put a big jumper on it. Not sure if anybody really does that, but that is something I could do. So I just haven't done it yet. This one has 2 sets of panels coming into it. So I have one black and red series and then the second one. So that's 8 panels on this one. And then this one is the 2 panels. So I only have 1 set of leads coming in. There's just 2 panels into this box. You might think that I have enough room to put this box into one of these spare over here, but the voltage from these 2 panels, this panel and the one on the other side, is a little bit different than the voltages on the other ones. Plus it's only 2 in series instead of 4. So you don't want to mix voltages or mix 2 panels in series with a set of 4 panels in series. So it's got a separate combiner box here, and it also has a separate MPPT charge controller inside the trailer. So one last thing, I built this wind deflector, so it blocks 50% of the opening for the front of the solar panels. So I built 4 strips of angle that run underneath the panel, and I put a 45-degree angle at the top. I bolted it into the 80-20. This is just where this FRP bolts to the angle that I have, the 4 strips of angle. So I got 12 bolts up there, and it's just held to the aluminum extrusion with 4 bolts. So if you like videos like this, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, click on the notifications to be notified of the upcoming videos, and leave a comment if you would. Thanks. Have a good day.